You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a black belt who owns Fastidious Jiu-Jitsu located in Palm Bay, Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Bounauito.
Hey, what's going on, Lamar?
What's going on, brother?
How's it going?
Pretty good. Enjoying this day. Get to talk about some jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, first and foremost, man, I appreciate you taking the time out to do an episode with me today. Greatly appreciate it.
No problem. I've been looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, me too. So, yeah, without further ado, man, if you want to formally introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear about your jiu-jitsu journey.
All right. Yeah, so my name is Justin Bounauito. I started jiu-jitsu in 2006, received my black belt in 2014, opened up my own academy in 2017, Fastidious Jiu-Jitsu. And jiu-jitsu has just been a big part of my life for many years now.
Oh yeah. So what got you into the sport?
So this is the funniest story ever. I'm coming out of Sam's wholesale club, and I seen a handwritten sign that's staked into the ground that says submission, Brazilian submission wrestling. And I'm like, ooh, what's that? That sounds cool. I think I want to try.
Sounds exotic.
Sounds exciting, yeah. And I was 29. I was just about to turn 30, and I already had in my head I wanted to get a black belt in something because I've done martial arts like pretty much my whole life, but really never got a black belt in anything. Mm-hmm. I knew I wanted to do that. I was kind of on my bucket list. And then when I seen this Brazilian submission wrestling, which ended up being Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I went to my first class, which was here in the Palm Bay Rec Center. You're talking 2006. There really wasn't a lot of jiu-jitsu schools.
Right.
Maybe one, you were traveling hours to go train.
Mm-hmm.
Went to my first class. I cracked a rib.
Oh,
I said, this is it. This is for me. I love it. It's a different era, like back then, when you went to a class and there was blue belts in there and purple belts in there and they seen this fresh new white belt come in, you were just like their training dummy for the day.
Oh yeah. And I like a little fresh white belt.
Yeah.
Oh man. So so I mean, go a little bit more detail, man. You've been training for quite a while. You're a black belt, so I know you've seen a lot of stuff, witnessed a lot of stuff, especially being a school owner. So
yeah, being a school owner is definitely different. You wear a lot of different hats. You're the janitor, you're the advertiser, you're the teacher. It's a lot like being in the hospitality business. You're trying to keep everyone satisfied and everybody happy. I've always been an entrepreneur. So I was into, being self-employed and being a business owner since like 1999. It's honestly one of the reasons why I was able to probably, get through jiu-jitsu and get my black belt and stuff, because I had a lot of time where I can do it. I noticed for a lot of guys now, like once you have kids, which I had kids then too, you have kids, you have work, you have this, you have that. Jiu-jitsu is like kind of on the back burner unless you're like really serious about competing or fighting and make it a necessity. For most people, it's just a hobby,
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of the students, So I started with a gentleman called Edgar Dutra out here at Brazilian Top Team, and then I made my way to Renato Tavares of American Top Team, and that's who I got my black belt from.
Okay. Yeah, some heavy names right there.
Yeah. I also so I owned ground control kimonos. So I started that probably back in 2006. That's actually when I started jiu-jitsu. So I got to sponsor a lot of like good jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, this is back when show your roll was just kind of getting going, and mm-hmm. everyone was still wearing like Corral and Atama and stuff like that. So I started the ground control line, and I had guys like Wagner Hasha and some other guys too wearing the gear, and it was pretty cool. It was a cool time. Ruben Alvarez and a lot of the old school guys. Like Florida is a hotbed for jiu-jitsu. I don't think a lot of people realize that. How much good jiu-jitsu and good guys came out of Florida.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. But I see a lot of people starting their own like jujitsu line of like gis and
Yeah.
rash guards and stuff like that, which is cool because everyone has a unique style or like like one guy I was talking to the other day, he has a line of rash guards and his rash guards has like the elastic band at the bottom.
Mhm.
So he's like, I'm tired of my belly coming up when I'm rolling, so I designed this to make it like this. And I was like, hey, that's a pretty smart idea. Pretty smart idea.
Yeah, I came up a lot with a lot of my own stuff. Like I was like the first guy to make a ripstop jujitsu gi. So I was making them out of 100% ripstop. And I still use them to this day. Like I don't wear traditional like gold weave gi in my academies. It's Florida. It's hot over here. So I like a thinner gi. So I started making those. I made some other things too that were pretty cool. I don't really do too much with ground control anymore. I kind of morphed it all over to my, the fastidious jiu-jitsu gear. The scene for gear just got way too flooded. Like you get an email from Pakistan every day, wanting to make.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. It's just, anyone can get it now. Because we used to like private label for some schools. We would make their gear for them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I get emails and messages on Facebook constantly from
all the time.
All the time.
As soon as since 2006. Everyone always trying to get me to transfer over, and I'm like, nah, I know I can trust my guy. If he messes up, he's gonna remake it for me because a lot of times stuff comes in and it's not the way it should be.
Right. Because there's like one guy, he reached out to me on Instagram, and he's like, telling me about his stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, dude, I just opened up my own place. We're still, building. I'm not in the market for shopping for the type of stuff right now, but I'll keep you in mind. I didn't tell him no, but I eventually I would like to work with somebody like that. But it was every day. Hey, you put your order in, you never told me your sizes. I was like, because I'm not ready to do this yet. Like, you making me not want to work with you by pestering me like this. So he's like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. And then like 2 days later, hey brother, how it's going, man? It's just still checking in, So I can't remember how many of those like people I've blocked.
Man, when you're ready, man,
so relentless.
Yeah, I can set you up with my guy over there, and he'll take care of you. You can trust this guy; he's a good guy.
Gotcha. So I've heard a lot of unique names when it came to schools, but fastidious was like a new one to me. So explain. I know you told me before we started recording, but like, how did that name come up?
All right. So when I was about to open up my school, I was up in the air over names, and my brother, which is a graphic designer, he was originally doing my websites and doing my logos for me. He started showing me like little templates, and it had fastidious on there. And I thought it was like, I don't know if you've ever like made a website and you see all those like weird wording. It's just to be like, oh, this is where words could be. I thought it was the same thing until I Googled it and I seen what it meant. And I was like, oh, this is good. Fastidious, attention to detail, blah, 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 blah. And I asked my brother, I'm like, you came up with that? He's like, yeah, I think that would be a great name. And I'm like, I think you're right. Because everyone's always using like killer this and killer that and shark and, all this like mean aggressive stuff. And
yeah,
I didn't want to fall into those lines and do that. So the fastidious just fit perfectly.
And what people don't know, if you're going from like open up a business school or whatever, that is literally the hardest part is trying to find a name, because you don't, like you said, you don't want to fall into the like the graphic or colorful names, like like you said, killer this and da 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 da. You want it to be, I guess, more so household, I guess you can say.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, because if someone's telling you about their school, especially like older people, and you're like, I train at killer XYZ, blah blah blah. It's kind of like I don't want to go there. But the hardest part, the hardest part about a school is trying to find a name. And like I said, I partnered with someone to open up a spot, and me and my training partner, we opened up another spot somewhere else, and we were just like, man, we need names. And he came up with a Gogi, which very, I love that name. But for people who don't, so basically a Gogi, the way it's spelled is AGOGE, which was basically the place where Spartans used to train.
Okay.
You know, they send the kids there, they train, they build that brotherhood, they build that family, they come out, you know, obviously Spartans. But we changed the name from GE to GI to represent Jiu-Jitsu. So we was like, okay. And then I came up with my name, Ndovu Jiu-Jitsu, which is, you know, just Swahili for elephant, because I have a huge love for them and what they stand for. But I can't tell you how many names I went through before I landed on this one, because it was just like, I wanted to be able to flow off the tongue. I wanted to have like a strong meaning. I didn't want to necessarily follow behind, like, you know, like you said, the sharks or whatever type of other animal people incorporate with jiu-jitsu with. But I was like, I want something different, unique, and then that's the name that we landed on, and I like it. I love it. I love the name that we picked. Name. Yeah,
and it's different too. It all, you know, like I like the names like show your roll. Like when you understand, like in jiu-jitsu, oh, show your roll. Okay, that's awesome. I like those type of names.
Right, especially like with the podcast and people like, oh, you know, they find out I do a podcast, and I tell them, and it's like, you know, talk your jits.
Yeah,
it's a play on. You know, it's a play on. So I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah. So it's like that's the kind of impact you want when it comes to, you know, the name. And yeah, like that, your name or your school is very unique, and it's like, oh, like I said, it gets you thinking, like, okay, this looks like a, you know, like you said, like just some made up word to show like placement, you know, placement for text. But then, like you said, you get into like the definition of it, it's like, oh, yeah, I like that. It makes sense.
So I like to be different. So like I even market myself now. I don't even market myself as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I market myself as American Jiu-Jitsu.
That's been kind of the talks of in the news, like in the jiu-jitsu world now, like the whole Brazilian jiu-jitsu versus American jiu-jitsu and whatnot. So I don't know, like what makes you say, like, you know, American jiu-jitsu versus Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
So there's a couple of reasons. One reason is you have a lot more Americans now that are black belts. Second reason is we're putting a little bit different of a twist than the Brazilians put on jiu-jitsu. So you got to think jiu-jitsu, really where it comes from, judo. So it's heavily judo influenced, gi oriented, you know, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Now, when I think of American jiu-jitsu, I think more wrestling oriented than judo oriented when it comes to takedown style. And I think more no gi than I think of gi. Now, like in my school, we do 50-50. I do, if I do 2 days gi, I do 2 days no gi. I also do no gi rules in the gi. We heel hook in the gi. We do everything. We do it. So that to me is kind of one of the reasons why I'm thinking American jiu-jitsu and not, you know, quote unquote Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And plus two, when you have every other school around you that is promoting Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Brazilian, I wanted to stick out. So American jiu-jitsu. And I've been doing that even when I had ground control. I was doing a luchador de jiu-jitsu as my kimonos, luchador americano. Yeah, and you know, so I've always, even like the old, if you look at my old school vibe for ground control, it was always kind of American flag and, you know, and that stuff.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I've seen ground control before, so I was like, when you kept saying, I'm like, that name sounds familiar. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So
and that's the same for us. We started, you know, when we started the, you know, like I said, the name for a school, we didn't want to add we didn't want to say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the name, because that's not what we focus on. Like you said, we do both gi and no gi. We teach every aspect of jiu-jitsu from wrist locks to heel hooks and stuff like that. We both do, like I said, I love no gi. My training partner loves gi, so it's a nice little hefty balance.
That's good.
And you know, we also incorporate other stuff, like you said, judo, you know, Greco-Roman wrestling, catch wrestling, all this other stuff to amplify what jiu-jitsu means to us. So that's why we just do, like you said, like you do American jiu-jitsu, we just say jiu-jitsu. It's more broad.
Yeah. And there's a lot of places that do that. And I watched that whole Flow Grappling, the American Jiu-Jitsu documentary, where they're like, well, let's just call it jiu-jitsu. I mean, and we probably all could just call it jiu-jitsu. But I think nowadays, like a lot of people are going to want their own spin on it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it started with the Gracies. It went from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So it's just a matter. I mean, it was just a matter of time before another evolution of it was was to happen.
Have you read the Robert Drysdale book, Opening the Closed Guard?
No, I have not.
I'm going to tell you, it's a really good book. And, not to take anything away from the Gracies, I think, that's all why we do jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of untold history there that, we didn't know about. And I highly recommend reading that book. That book is amazing, the Robert Drysdale Opening the Closed Guard. If you're in jiu-jitsu and you haven't read the book, it's a must read. It's a must read. I can't wait till the documentary comes out.
Oh, okay. I just looked it up now. Yeah, I've recently just started getting into like I guess books that's like kind of focusing around jiu-jitsu. I read and listened to Breathe, the book by Renzo, Hickson Gracie, which was a phenomenal Worth Defending by Richard Bracer. He was one of the first American black belts in jiu-jitsu. And you always hear the stories about how the Gracies came over here and how they just made this big shockwave in jiu-jitsu. And he's giving it, obviously a point from his perspective, and it just like, he goes into more detail about the dojo storming the Gracies used to do, how the first UFC happened, and how he had a big contribution to that too. So it's just like a real big eye opener, because it talks some more about stuff outside of just techniques and how quote unquote jiu-jitsu works and whatnot. Yeah. So it's pretty good. That's another one I definitely will recommend.
I haven't read that one.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. And I had this book, this Open and Closed Guard, on my wish list on Audible, and I just never bought it.
Man, I'm telling you, man, it's a must read. Grab it.
So it's getting bought.
Yeah.
As soon as it's getting bought. So yeah, I'm definitely on that one. Because it's very, I love learning more about not only just jiu-jitsu, but a lot of the people who was that paved the way, their outlooks and how they handle jiu-jitsu, because it was to me, like back then it seemed like it was a little bit more cutthroat. It was a little bit more like, you kind of have to go out there and get your hands dirty to prove that this works.
Well, I think it was just because it was different. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize what made, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Gracie Jiu-Jitsu different is, at the end of the day, they were doing judo. And to beat the judo guys, they didn't want to go by judo rules. So what they started doing was using things like the closed guard and stuff, because judo doesn't have a closed guard. And, and if you are on the bottom in judo or on the mat, I think it's like 30 seconds or something like that, and you got to get back up. So basically, it was honestly just a rule set that they were changing to kind of make it their own and to be able to compete. I mean, that's what I get from it when I read the book. I almost like to think of it like what Donaher did with leg locks. The rule set, he changed it, and he made it where, like, their whole system is, something completely different when you think about it. It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, it is, but it's way different. I mean, I remember back in the day, man, people would get mad if you did leg locks.
Yeah.
They would get upset, And I'm like, why? Like Dean Lister would say, it's 50% of the body. Why are we not attacking the legs,
True.
Attack everything.
And everything. everything.
My favorite grappler is Wagner Hasha. He's my absolute favorite. And what I like about him is he's just like you look at like that choke he does. I think it's the Python he calls, where he squeezes your nose, he covers over your mouth. Have you ever seen that? He finishes guys. Or he does the mercy lock, where he'll put the mercy hands on you and put you up against the cage and mercy lock you. I'm like, yeah, man, that's the essence of jiu-jitsu. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Take all their limbs and try to submit.
Yeah.
Why is something, why is something off the table? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's all fair game. And, only thing that you can't do is bend fingers, but
yeah, small joint manipulation.
See, a small joint manipulation, but everything else is.
Bend all four of them now.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, you can attack all four, but you gotta 3 or more, but you can't grab one finger and just.
Which I've had plenty of people do.
Yeah, I remember. We had a new guy, young athletic guy, started school, and we were just going slow, rolling with him and whatnot, and he just continuously just kept grabbing my fingers, almost eye gouged me, almost got fish hooked. So I just stopped. I'm like, okay, bro, I need you to calm down. Like, I don't mind rolling with you, but you're being a little too reckless.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, cool. But then it just seemed like as soon as I said it, we went back to rolling. He went right back at it. So I was like, all right, okay. I was like, you know what? We stopped the roll, and then I was like, I'm gonna calm myself down. I'll get him next class. That's how I was thinking to myself. Like, you know what? I'll roll with him next class. Because on top of that, I was going for a hip bump. Yeah, hip bump sweep. And he reaches up, like, mushed me in the face and, just slam. Just slam me straight down to the, have my head pinned, boom, slam to the mat. So I kind of like saw stars a little bit, and I was like, okay, all right. It was like, new. He was fairly new. He probably had maybe like a month under his belt, month in class. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to fight him with anger. I'll just calm down. Next class, blah blah blah. So I told my talked to my instructor about it. I was like, hey, just let you know, Thursday, all I'm doing is rolling. And I usually don't say that type of stuff, but he was like, all right, do what you gotta do. It's like, what can you do? But yeah, next class, man, I had to put it on him. Probably one of the worst rear neck chokes I ever put on somebody.
Oh wow.
And he was just like, I think he was tapping. I didn't feel it, but he tapped, but there was really like the last time that he came to class, which I felt kind of bad for because I didn't want him to like leave, but at the same time, it was like, dude, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, especially when it's being acknowledged, like, hey, yo, stop doing that. And you steady doing it. It's like, all right, now I gotta put it on
you. Yeah, that will happen, unfortunately in this sport, I've had the same, things, happen to me, and I've had teammates where, it's happened to them as well. And it's kind of unfortunate, but it's not, I like to tell my students, it's not patty cake.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing that, that you see, like you don't like really think about in jiu-jitsu as far as being like a school owner. Like, how do you necessarily handle stuff like that? How do you handle situations like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a hard one. So the thing about it is, from a school owner, someone like that could be a cancer into your school. They're going around, they're hurting people, which makes people they can't train. If they can't train, then they don't want to have memberships.
Right.
So, sometimes you have to, kind of get rid of that as soon as you see it. You either got to talk to them, and then if it's something that keeps happening, then unfortunately, you have to get rid of them as a student. Ask them, try to find another place for you to train, or so on or so forth. And I've had that issue, not that much, thankfully, but
thankfully,
circumstances where we've had to ask people to quit. That you're just getting a little too crazy, a little bit too wild. I just don't think this is for you, or at least my place is not for you.
Right. Yeah, that's one of those unspoken things about being a school owner. Like you said, you wear so many hats, and sometimes you don't get to wear the hat of a jiu-jitsu practitioner. You go, like you said, you have to be school owner, you have to be janitor, you have to be secretary, you have to be this, you have to be that, and that's those are the type of things that I dread having to do, because these people that come to school, you grow a bond with them, regardless if they're there for a day, a week, or a month, and you like, now I gotta tell you, you gotta go, because
those are like the embarrassing ones where you have to like go to one of the students and be like, hey man, I've had people complain that the gi is just, it stinks, man. You washing this thing, you gotta wash it every day, or you gotta, maybe you're doing some manual labor outside and you're coming into the gym, you gotta maybe shower before you come to the gym,
Yeah.
So yes, those are sometimes some uncomfortable situations that you have to deal with as an owner.
Yeah, because I remember we had one white belt. He was a heavier set guy, and he just reeked. And one day we rode, and it seemed like I could not get the stench off of him, off of me, and it drove me nuts for like 3 days because it was like it felt like it was embedded in my skin.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's like, I was like, as soon as I got home, I washed my gi, everything, and it just like for some odd reason, like, I just kept this scent was just like right here. I'm scrubbing my face, and like it just could not go away. But yeah, it's like you obviously you don't want to embarrass these people.
No,
you
no,
want to be like, and you don't want your student saying anything to them, but like, yeah, it's like, hey, dude, got to get that under control.
Oh, I don't do it. I delegate. So I have one of my black belts.
Pull rank real quick.
One of my black belts, and I always tell him like, dude, you got to do this for me. And he's like, come on, man. So that's what I do.
That's funny.
He's gonna know exactly.
But yeah, man.
He's gonna know exactly who I'm talking about.
So how many students you currently have? It's kind of like around about number.
Yeah, right now. So I did have the 2 academies, and I just went down to 1.
Okay.
And my academies are smaller, so they're not big academies. They're only about like my one's like maybe 1,800 square feet. My other one was 1,300 square feet. So we hover around 150.
Nice. See, everyone's example of a small school is so different. Like, it's not that big. Just 200 students. Like, that is a lot of people. I mean, granted, you have like multiple classes, but
yeah. I mean, there's some schools, man. I got friends that have like, 300, 400 students, but they also have big academies, 7,000 square feet. They can have multiple classes going on at one time.
Jeez.
My
dream, right?
To be honest with you, not really. Not for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not for me. I would rather have like the smaller school. This is my goal anyway. The smaller school, I want to push, guys that, that are good out, competing and stuff like that. Make enough money in the gym to have the gym, be able to survive and make money. And that's it. I'm happy, because there's other things that I will do besides jiu-jitsu. So for me, it's not just like I'll just do jiu-jitsu,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I come from an entrepreneurial background where I've had many of other businesses. I can do something else. I don't like sometimes when you go to these schools and they've got like, like I said, 300-400 schools and it misses that intimacy of the school. Like,
yeah,
everybody. And I like that. I like to, like, we have conspiracy theory Fridays, like where we go on a no-gi Friday night and we wouldn't even train. We'd be talking about conspiracy theories. Like we're like 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, Eddie Bravo talking about chemtrails. And that's what I like. I like that I don't want to get away from that, For me, it's not all about, the money.
Yeah.
Schools, when it starts to get all about the money, it gets to be ridiculous, and I don't want that.
Yeah. I was very, very fortunate to land in a school where my instructor, he has multiple businesses. So like, running the school was more so like the hobby of his, something he's like, yeah, as long as the doors are open, I'm good.
Yep.
And, then, like you said, you look at these schools where it's like, yeah, we charging, we charge you for everything. You got contracts you have to sign. You got, you have to pay for your promotions. You have to pay for this. You have to pay for that. And it's like, and then it's like, you think about that type of stuff. And then you like, man, obviously in the business aspect of it, it sounds good where you got 10 people, 10, 20 people that's, paying tuition and then they're paying for all this other extra stuff on top. It's like, dang, man, like, where's the passion at?
No. Obviously, for a lot of people, it's a business, and it's like any other business, just how you support yourself and your family. So you have to have, fees and make money. Contracts are weird. We've been through the phases where I was doing them and then I stopped doing them. Now I just do like just give me 30 days notice, you know? At least you can't let me know right before your payment's due that, you know, you want to quit. You know, I need some time. So give me 30 days. That's all I ask for now is 30 days notice, which I think is fair. It's fair for me as a business owner, and it's fair for you as the student.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of schools, especially different martial arts schools, like, because I get it all the time, like let's say, like, you know, a different discipline. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but a different discipline down the road, one of their students will call and be like, oh yeah, I'm in the black belt club. What's that? Well, I gotta stay until I get my black belt, and it's like $250 a month. I'm like, what?
Oh,
and I get it, man. I get it so much. It's unbelievable. Some of these other disciplines have these weird, like black belt club stuff and these weird contracts. And I think of jiu-jitsu, the most I've ever seen is 1 year. I've seen some ridiculous stuff. I don't know if you came across that yet, but yeah,
that's the craziest thing I've heard so far.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
I mean, I've heard of like, you know, like the, you know, 2, 3, or like the 3 to 6 month contracts and stuff like that. But having someone locked in for what, 6 to 10 years?
Well, it depends. Some of these disciplines now you can get a black belt in like 2 years.
In like 2 hours.
Jiu-jitsu. You're not going 8 years, 10 years, whatever. You know, so granted, in 3 years you're going to get the black belt, but still, though, you know, to lock somebody into an agreement saying that, you know, hey, you got to get your black belt with me, otherwise you got to, you know, pay me all this money is crazy, and people do it all the time. It's weird.
I mean, if they don't know, then you know. It's not like, you know, people go around, you know, shopping for school to school. Like I think people should. Like you shouldn't always just, you know, just land on the first place you go to. Because I even tell people that comes to my school, because I love being transparent. You know, I love being, you know, just open up. You know, up and up is like, hey, you know, somebody come in and they want to try it. I'm like, yeah, dude, try it. You know, you have a week trial. You know, try it out, see how you feel. I don't lock you into no type of contracts. If you know you pay monthly, I'm not the type to be like, yeah, you got to pay 3 months up front, so on and so forth. You know, because who knows what's going to happen in a couple months? Because I've seen it happen in our, you know, at our school. Somebody paid 3 months in advance because they're like, yeah, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be committed. And it's like, okay, and then they disappear. It's like, all right, we don't know what. I mean, we still don't know what happens to this person, but you know, stuff like that happens.
It does. So, we sell like a yearly deal, and you know, I hate to see it, but sometimes they'll come 3 months and that's it. They're done. And you're like, wow. Like I know if I'm paying a year for something, I'm going every day until that.
I'm showing up some way.
Yeah. I just gotta send somebody else in there and video it for me. You know, I know what's going on.
Like, yeah, Zoom, FaceTime, something. Yeah. I need my presence in this building if I'm paying a year up front. Like it got to. Yeah, that's wild. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it is a business. It is a business. Yeah. This is, some people definitely use this as a means to, provide for their families.
Yeah,
and whatnot. Sure. So not knocking them, but I couldn't do it.
For sure. And see, I think, you can do that with this business. You can 100%. But you got a lot of spare time in this business too, where you could get into other things.
Right.
What's the average instructor really teach? You got maybe a morning class during the morning, you do an hour, and you got, some classes you do at night, maybe a couple kids classes and an adult class. It's still not an 8-hour day. So you got stuff you could do whatever during the day, maximize your money, maximize your profits, make more money doing other stuff, or keep your days to just, riding on your boat and do whatever you want to do. Like, that's fine too. It's, really up to you. What do you want to do? What are you trying to get out of life?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to look at it. I just feel like I would, if I'm going to a school and I'm paying that type of money, I really want to feel like I'm getting my money's worth.
Yeah.
Because especially being at a large school, if you're not necessarily like a standout type of person, you kind of like fall to the wayside, and then, you feel yourself just being left behind because it's like you can't get that interaction with the instructor that you want to, and they're not paying you the type of attention because you're not a competitor and stuff like that. So It's a lot of it's a lot of factors when it comes to
No, it is.
being that school owner,
The school
man.
that works for you. You got
Right.
some schools that are very heavily competitive schools. Just you're going to go there if you're a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some schools where they're kind of in between. Then you got some schools that are very heavily built on self-defense, and they don't roll a lot. And a lot of people like that. So it really just depends on what you really want to do as a student. I don't think there's anything wrong with the student that really doesn't want to roll.
Right.
Because rolling a lot of times is where a high percentage of the people get hurt. And you might have someone, maybe, I don't know, maybe they're a doctor or something, or they're a barber and they use their hands and they just don't want to take that chance of getting hurt, but they want to learn jiu-jitsu. So maybe self-defense jiu-jitsu school where they don't roll too much might be a good thing for them. And you have some guys that maybe they wrestled in high school and they want that aggressiveness. Well, maybe a competitive school might be good for you. So I think, there's a bunch of different types of schools out there. And I think that's a good thing. It gives people options. Like I said, back when I started, there was no options. We had one school and one school only over here. Your next school was 45 minutes away, and that's, what I did forever. I traveled 45 minutes away because I was no longer going to go to the school that was here, for whatever reasons. But now they got options. Now here in my area, there's probably about 15 schools. Like you're in Detroit, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My sister lives out there in Michigan. I'm about to come your way next time I come out there because I want to go to Detroit so bad. But she's over like in the Byron Center area.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, come on, man. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, for sure. I try to, at least because my mom's up there and I try to go see her. She's sick. I try to go see her like every couple of months.
Okay.
You're about 2-3 hours away though, and where she's at.
Oh yeah, that's a nice drive on top of another. That's a nice travel on top of a good drive. So
yeah.
But there's a lot of jiu-jitsu schools starting to pop up here in Detroit and like in the metro area. Like we got a 10th Planet here now in Royal Oak.
I can see that. Yep.
A couple Gracie schools, around Michigan. There's a big one that opened up a few years ago, like in downtown Detroit. I still have to go check them out, but yeah, it's vastly growing where, schools are just popping up left and right. Just as, as a new school owner, try not to fall in that McDojo, category.
Yeah, because you want to, like, I do feel jiu-jitsu's got a lot. It's been watered down a little bit. We probably haven't gotten as watered down as we're going to get. But a lot of it is so you can retain students and you can keep students.
Right.
You got a lot of schools out there that they're not letting the students roll until they get like a blue belt or, a certain amount of months. And I think that, keeps that certain type of student there, and then you got some of the schools out there that, you're rolling day one, and people like that too. I don't think I would have stayed with jiu-jitsu if I didn't get to roll day one. I think I would have, I wouldn't have done it. I probably wouldn't have got my black belt. I would have
never. No. If you had to tell me, like, yeah, you can come to class and participate, but when it's time to roll, you can't. You have to sit, until you're blue belt. Well, how would I know what I'm good at or what am I capable of if I can't roll?
Yeah. So
no.
That was my funnest part, going up through the ranks and training, the technique aspect of it. And I'm like a jiu-jitsu nerd. So like I was the type of person, like I liked Eddie Bravo before Eddie Bravo was like likable. I liked Eddie Bravo when you told anyone in your school that you liked Eddie Bravo, they laughed at you. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize that was the case in 2007, 2008. He didn't really get the name that he has up until like recently, where we started doing the EBIs and stuff. Everyone was like, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I had all his books. I had the Jean-Jacques Machado online. I was just like the complete jiu-jitsu nerd, just watching everything that I could watch on top of learning from, whatever instructor I was with. And, anytime I get caught in something or I see something, I go right back and I try to find it. So I like my jiu-jitsu is a very mixed mosh jiu-jitsu of just everything.
Yeah.
I've learned across the ways, and throughout the time I've been doing jiu-jitsu, and I still to this day do it. I still my BJJ Fanatics account is unreal. All the stuff that I do.
I've been fortunate enough not to buy anything yet, but Jesus Christ, my cart.
Yeah. I've got like I see it, I'm like, oh, I like that. I gotta get that. I gotta, know what he's doing or what's his approach on this. I gotta know.
Right.
And I'm, like I said, I'm really I'm big on technique, super big on technique because I'm an asthmatic. So for me, I can't go that super fast pace. I gotta be real methodical about everything, like a slower pace game. That's why I do like guys like Eddie Bravo and stuff like that. Because if you look, he's not that super fast, go at you type guy, which I feel Eddie's got one of the best half guards in the business. I don't. Mm-hmm. I think his lockdown and what he does with that is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I've definitely learned love to learn the lockdown. I find myself playing bottom half a lot. Just kind of building from that. But yeah, dude, it's like with me, I'm that same way, dude. I love jiu-jitsu. I love learning. I'm more hands-on than just just watching videos. Because me and my training partner and my instructor stuff, we send videos back and forth all day.
Yeah.
And I watch them, but if something catches my eye, I get mad because I can't train it. Like I can't rep it right then and there. My poor wife is started getting beat up on because I'm like, hey, let me do this real quick. let me just see how this is real quick. But yeah, like if we're if me and you are rolling, man, and I get caught in something, immediately I'm like, okay, show me how you got me.
Yeah,
I need to see what you just did. So
that's how jiu-jitsu is. I tell my students all the time, like jiu-jitsu is you're throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall until something sticks.
Yep.
Or you're going counter for counter for counter for counter until that person doesn't know the counter. That's jiu-jitsu. Yep. Especially when you get up through the higher ranks. And That's funny you say bottom half. I think like right now, like I used to be a real big guard player, full guard, but I got bad hips and stuff now. So it's hard for me to kind of do full guard. So I'm way more half guard now than I am full guard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell people a lot, the different people I talk to that's, all different kind of ranks, especially like, blue and white belt. And they're like, dude, how'd you get this? Or how'd you get this? I'm like, dude, it's just trial and error. Trial and error. That is like the main concept behind jiu-jitsu. Like you said, you just throwing stuff at the wall.
My son wants to get in here real quick. He's pacing over here. This is my son.
I know. It's like a couple times he walked past, he slowed down in front of the camera.
Yeah, this is my son.
How's it going, buddy?
Too, man. I've had him doing jiu-jitsu since he's been he learned to walk on my mats. I actually call his nickname is I call him Bushesha because I think he looks like Bushesha.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's like a couple times he got some water and I saw he slowed down.
He's trying to get in here. Yeah. Because I told him I was going to be doing this with you, and he's like, "Oh, am I going to be able to get on there, Dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get you on there."
Yeah, sure. Anybody who does jiu-jitsu, man, is more than welcome.
Yeah,
more than welcome.
But yeah, man, what got you into jiu-jitsu?
Man, it was kind of like it's kind of like almost like it was written for me to start training.
Yeah,
because I've always loved martial arts. I've done like karate. I even done some MMA, things like that, and it never really resonated with me like that. And then like one day I was working. I used to be a manager at this store called FYE. It's kind of like his records and electronics store or whatever. And one of the stores was like, this GNC was like at the end. I would, just go down there and kind of like look for stuff. Cause I was, at this point I was like, okay, I want to get into the gym. I think I just turned 30. Yeah, I just turned 30. And I was like, I want to get more serious about working out and I need to find something.
Similar, man.
And just so happened the guy that was working there, he was putting stuff on the shelf, but he was holding his arm like this. So I was like, I went in there a couple of times. The first time I seen this, I was like, you good? He's like, yeah, man. I hurt my arm doing training. And I was like, oh, what do you do? He's like, oh, I do jiu-jitsu. And I was like, oh, okay. And then me and him started chopping it up about it, and he invited me out to our school, but we ended up going to like a affiliate school for like open mat. And I'm thinking to myself like, big guy, kind of, I think I'm pretty strong. I should be okay. First guy I rolled with was like in his 40s, late 50s, older guy, and just whooped me. He was a blue belt. He just whooped me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Then I rolled with someone else who was a white belt, younger guy. So I'm like, okay, maybe more my speed. Got whooped. And I was just like, you know what? I don't like this. I hate it. But then it just stuck in my head like, dude, how did this older, smaller guy beat me? How did this younger, smaller guy beat me? And stuff like that. So I just, got, like I said, started doing more research about it and I got hooked, signed up for class like that following week. And it was like, yep, this is where I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. So I've been stuck in it ever since, man.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's one of those things, like I said, I feel like it happened at the time it was supposed to happen. And I was at a very weird place in my life. I was like, yeah, boom, I just hit 30. So life was just like, oh, snap. But like, you're that big 3-0. Your younger years is over with. So it's time to figure out what you want to do. And it's just like, yeah, let me get into this. Let me find something to do. And once I got like maybe like a month or two into like classes, my instructor got his black belt. I was like a 2-stripe white belt. So I saw that. I saw him get his black belt under his instructor, Master Joe Moera, who was part of, the earlier UFCs. And so I knew about him, or whatever. And, you meet someone iconic as that. And it's just like, you find out he's like one of the most humblest guys you ever meet. And, and it's just like the names that that started to pop up once you find out who does jujitsu. And it's just like, it just became so intriguing to me. And I was like, yeah, I like this. I'm going to stick around for this a little bit.
That's cool, man. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, fun, man. Funny story, man. Because I always think like, man, if I never would have walked in that GNC, would I ever found you? Like, would I have ever found jiu-jitsu? Well, I probably would have found it, but not the school that I ended up at.
Yeah, it's possible. Like if I never would have seen a sign that said Brazilian submission wrestling outside of Sam's Club, who knows? I wish I would have found it sooner, to be honest with you, but it just wasn't as accessible. That like I did end up going to like the first school that opened in my area. He was only open for a couple months. He was like in the rec center. But yeah, I wish I would have found it sooner. I wish I could have been one of them guys like my son saying, "Oh yeah, I've been doing this since I've been 3 years old."
I know, right?
That'd be awesome. Like awesome.
I was born on the mats. Because even before I linked up with him, I was looking for jiu-jitsu. I was looking for martial arts schools. I was looking for anything, from boxing to whatever I can find. And the few people that I've came across really left like a bad taste in my mouth when it came to it. Crunk's Gym is one of the biggest boxing gyms, and if you know boxing, Crunk's Gym. Yeah. And one of the guys who happened to be a coach there, he comes to the store and I saw his jacket, and I was polite. He's like, "Hey, sir, you got a second? I saw your jacket. I just want to ask you a couple questions." She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Are you, what's your affiliation with Crunk?" She's like, I'm a coach over there." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And I was like, I'm asking about it. I was like, "Yeah, because I want to get into boxing or something of the sort." And he immediately cut me off. He's like, "Yeah, bro, if you're not trying to fight to be a pro fighter, there's nothing for us to talk about." I just kind of like walked away from that. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, okay, that's whatever. And then came across this one jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts school, and met with the instructor, and he was kind of asking me like, "Oh, what are you trying to get into? What are you trying to do? Blah blah blah. You see all those pictures on the wall, all those guys became champions, and blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Well, that's cool and all, but as of right now, I just want to do something, get in shape, get healthy, and whatnot. I'm not looking to compete as of right now." But once again, he was like, "Well, if you don't have that mindset to compete, then this da 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 da." And just kind of like talked me out of joining the school. So I was like, all right, you know, like, what do I do next? But, you know, fast forward, I met my good friend Adam, and, you know, boom, rest is history.
Yeah, I was kind of in that same path. I had like a cell phone store out there in Vero Beach, and at the time I had it out there, Buddy McGirt was one of like the big trainers out there in Vero Beach. So he had guys like Toro Gotti and all that stuff that would be out there. And Buddy McGirt, he's got a son too, James McGirt Jr. And I would talk to him all the time, like, yeah, I think I'm going to come over there. I might start boxing. They were cool though. They weren't like, hey, if you're not going to fight and win championships, you can't come. You're like, oh yeah, man, you can come. It's hot as hell because we're in like a storage unit garage or whatever, but you could come if you want to. I just never ended up doing it, but like then I got into the jiu-jitsu and I was like, oh yeah, this is for me. I'm more of a grappler than I'm a striker anyway. I think I'd naturally grappling.
Yeah, like I've done MMA and it's just like it's cool, but man, just being punched is just like, you know what? It's not for me. It's not for me.
Everybody. There was a point like when I want to say I was probably like a brown belt that I was gonna do MMA, and I started training with all the guys who do MMA. It just never happened. I never ended up getting a match or anything like that. But I'm happy that I did because it got me to understand how to use jiu-jitsu while getting punched in your face.
Yeah.
Because it's different. A lot of people, some people are going to be able to still do it and they'll utilize some of the things that are going on so they can get into positions, and others are just going to crumble.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find out, well, which guy am I? Am I the guy that's going to crumble, or am I the guy that's going to be still able to use my jiu-jitsu? So
yeah, and we definitely drill that at our school. Our instructor, who Gracie lineage, so like that, if you're not able to do this in when someone's punch you in the face, you can't do it at all.
It changes jiu-jitsu.
It changes jiu-jitsu,
right? Punches one time you're a brown belt, second time purple belt, third time going down those ranks.
Yeah, and that's been a big part of our game, big part of our testing. Like we just had 2 people test for blue and purple belt right before, was it before or after Christmas? Before the new year for sure, but I think it was like the week after Christmas. But yeah, that's a part of our test. You have to be able to defend yourself against someone's punching you. At blue belt is you did a couple 1-on-1s, but and at purple, brown, and black, it's 2-on-1s.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to defend yourself, be able to get them to take them down, secure them down, and stop them from punching you. It's all part of your test. Like I said, you can be a black belt in jiu-jitsu or whatever, but someone punches you in the face, and this is the first thing you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's going out the window.
You hit it on with takedowns too, man. You'd be surprised how many black belts are out there that can't take people down. They don't know takedowns. Right. They can't do them, especially in a live setting because they're so used to it. They're competing, pulling guard, all the time. And, it totally takes out I think the self-defense aspect of jiu-jitsu. You're not pulling guard in a street fight,
No.
You're not getting either. But if you were to happen to, you ain't pulling guard.
Right. Please don't butt scoot. Please don't butt scoot.
I love. Remember when Kit Dale did that? I don't know if you ever seen that video he did where he like.
You said who?
Kit Dale. He's like one of Craig Jones's friends from Australia. You gotta look him up. Mm-hmm. Funny dude. It was like this thing where this dude like bumps into him and they start saying words, and all of a sudden he jumps and he starts butt scooting. He's like, "What's up?" It's pretty funny. You gotta look at it.
Yeah, I got. I'm gonna have to find a video, but.
It's crazy. Yeah, man, world champions have won world championships by butt scooting. Tons. It's crazy. I mean, in the sport, in jiu-jitsu, obviously it's acceptable, and I don't really see too much wrong with it. Like in jiu-jitsu, it's just that you're not going to apply that everywhere.
Right. I like to look at.
Yeah, and it ended horribly, but yeah.
Right. I like to look at jiu-jitsu in a practical form. Yeah, the fights usually obviously goes to the ground, but like I said, in a street fight, I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, you want to go? All right, in my guard," He's
on you.
Right. Like, where you want to start? Like, what do you mean where you want to start? Like, yeah, you want to start in my guard, your guard, half guard, what you want to do? But yeah, so yeah, that's butt scooting. that's man, such a dark horse.
For like jiu-jitsu competition, I'm not against it. It's like I really think when you think about jiu-jitsu competition, I don't really think it's the toughest guy that wins. I think it's the smartest guy that wins. I think it's the guy that understands the rules and he uses those rules to his fullest advantage. Those are the guys.
Yeah.
Those are the guys.
Yeah.
A lot of like really high level matches are won by what? Advantages? You know?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. 4 points advantages. Like that's what I really like when, like in my school, because I was never like, when I was coming up through the ranks, my instructor really never went over the point system. So you were like competing, you're like, I guess I just got to submit this fool. And if you can't submit them, you don't understand the game. But I try to explain, I have it up on my wall, like, these are the points for this, you know, understand what advantages are, understand ref decisions, understand like when you go to a match and it's first to score, just try to take them down real quick, like stuff like that, you know, which is sometimes boring to go over, especially if you don't have people that are competing. But if you have people that are competing, they need to know it. They need to know these little things so they can win matches. Sometimes and win or lose.
Yep. And that's, you know, we have a couple guys at our spot that's considered competing and whatnot. So I was like, all right, well, if you want to do that, you know, obviously as an instructor, I need to learn more about how the rules work and stuff like that. Because our school was the same way. We necessarily didn't have competitors. I was kind of like one of the first people that wanted to compete, really. So it was kind of like, yeah, we go for the kill. We don't worry about points. Like, you know, it was like, points don't mean nothing. You can be up 60-0, and as soon as that person who got 0 get that tap, they win. So there's no need for points. But
well, it's a game, you know. That's what a lot of people don't realize. It's a game, you know. I think if you treat it like that, instead of treating it like a fight, you treat it like a game. You're probably going to be, in my eyes, you're going to be more successful, especially if you understand all the rules. One of the problems that we have though with jiu-jitsu is there's not unified rules. So you got IBJJF, and then you got like, say, a new breed or a Naga that will be like, we go by IBJJF rules here, but then we switch off. And then you got some tournaments that just don't go by IBJJF at all, you know, and then now you got the ADCC rules. As a coach, it gets complicated because you got all your different ages, what they can do, what all your different belt levels. So I try to tell all my people that compete, whether they're kids or adults, like, hey, understand the rules of the competition that you're going to go into. If you have questions about it, come and ask me. And if I know the answer, I'll try to give it to you. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to look it up, you know, and figure it out for you. Or both of us might just go in there blind and try to figure it out ourselves while we're in there. But yeah, you know, the rules are huge, especially when you start dealing with the kids, like some of the stuff the kids can't do to what they can do. And some tournaments they can't guillotine, some they can Ezekiel, some they can, you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's something, like you said, it's something that need to be learned, because my daughter, she says it now, but she always keeps saying, like, you know, oh, she can't wait to get back to training because she wants to compete. And I was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, I want to try it. I'm like, all right, you know, I'm not gonna scare her away from it, but at the same time, I still want her to be prepared to be like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is how this works. This is how that works, so on and so forth.
So my son likes to play a lot of sports, but he does like to compete. But like this year, he's done, you know, jiu-jitsu. Hold on, I'll tell him. He's been playing a lot more football and basketball and stuff like that. But like clockwork, every time a competition comes up and he hears kids are going to compete, Dad, am I going to compete tomorrow? I'm like, dude, you have trained. Tomorrow. Yeah, that's him. But I want him to experience, like, for him, jiu-jitsu is going to be a part of his life forever. You know, his dad owns a school, his dad's a black belt. But I want him to experience all the other sports, you know, football, basketball, baseball, whatever he wants to do, you know, because you're only a kid once. He should play all those things.
Right.
So, but yeah, once he gets back into training, he's ready. I think I'm gonna have a good competitor on my hands.
Oh man, I'm excited for him, man. I'm excited to see what the little guy can do.
Yeah, me too. My little Bashesha.
All right, Justin, man, we got a question that became a staple here on Talk Your Jits podcast. You know, we ask everybody that comes on the show, past or present, man, who would you love to get a chance to roll with? Yeah.
I would love to roll with Eddie Bravo.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I would love to roll with Wagner. I would just like to see the whooping he'd put on me because I think that would be amazing. You know, that's pretty much about it. You know, I mean, I roll. I'm one of the instructors though that I roll with everybody. When people come in, you know, I roll with everybody, and I've got to roll with a lot of good people throughout my jiu-jitsu career or whatever you want to call it. But like people that I would love to get a chance to roll with would definitely be Eddie Bravo and Wagner.
Yeah, I would love to get a chance to roll with Eddie Bravo as well.
Oh my God, it'd be amazing. That's why I want to
so
feel roller guard at the highest level.
Yeah, it'd be definitely. I think it'd be very exciting, and it's funny, but you know, only people who does jiu-jitsu understand that when we talk about the people who we love to get that dream match in, we don't ever see ourselves winning.
No,
like, yeah,
I'm getting twisted. I'm getting python choked. You know, I forgot. I should have threw Marcelo Garcia in there too because I am a big Marcelo Garcia fan as well.
Yeah.
For me, and my students laugh at me all the time. I've got like 1 million favorite techniques, and I got 1 million favorite jiu-jitsu guys. You know, just honestly, it really just depends on the week and what I'm going over. Eddie Bravo and Wagner have always been kind of a staple of mine, but man, there's so many guys, man. Marcelo, Jacare, I mean, just the list can really go on and on. I like a lot of the older school guys too. I'd love to roll with Gordon. How, you know, what is Gordon? Like, Gordon's gonna roll me up, and it's gonna be cool though, right? Craig Jones, like all that stuff. Man, come on, to get to train with some of the best in the world, especially at my age, 47. Who?
Nikki Rod and Nikki Rod is definitely another person that's on my list where it's like, I would love, and Craig Jones too.
Just give me time to tap. That's all I ask. Just give me time.
That's it.
I'm good.
I know we're gonna get maybe a 15, maybe 20-second match in, but let me let me feel around a little bit. Let me get,
for sure.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. Like I said, it's just funny how we talk about the people we want to roll with. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna get destroyed, but it'll be the best experience ever.
Well, think about that's jiu-jitsu though. You're coming.
That's jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
especially if you came from like a school environment. You know, some guys go a different route and they get their black belts or whatever. But you got a lot of guys that they came from the school environment. And if you came from a decent school where you had traveling people come in, you got to get a lot of rolls in. And also, hopefully, you got whooped a lot.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to make you a good, whatever belt rank you are. Like, if you're always that guy that's always beating everybody all the time, you got to question, is where I'm at, is this good? Right?
Yeah.
I'm always the hill over here. So you have to get, you got to get humbled every once in a while in jiu-jitsu. It still happens. It happens to me, all the time, and it should. Because I would start to question the sport if it didn't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if I was able to steamroll everybody I meet, I'd be like, all right, what's going on? That'd be a big problem. Big problem. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Justin, on that one. But yeah, man, if you got any other questions for me, man, fire away. If not, man, let the people know what you got coming up. Shout out your school. The floor is all yours.
Hey, man, I really appreciate it, man. I think this is awesome what you're doing. Keep it up. This was an hour. It was really enjoyable. If you ever, want to do it again, I'm down. Like I said, I'll come visit you maybe, hopefully, if I'm in the area. Because I do want to visit Detroit. Likewise, you want to ever come down here to Florida, let me know. We'll get some training in and stuff. And yeah, man, I like what you're doing, man. Keep it up. This is great, dude.
Man, I appreciate it. Yeah, the list keeps growing, man, on all these schools that I want to visit. But in due time, I'm starting to put a list of where everyone's at. I got a lot of people in Florida, Texas, a few in Arizona that I want to go see. So I want to eventually be able to just visit a lot of the guests that I've had on the show. It's a lot.
Awesome. So you do a little traveling one too, which would be cool, like a vlog.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's definitely the plan. Yeah. All right, brother. But yeah, that's the end of today's episode. I would like to thank Justin one more time for coming on the show and blessing us with his jiu-jitsu knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube page to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day.